You think you're making choices right now, that you decided to watch this video. You didn't. Every decision you believe you're making is just your brain executing code written by genetics and experience. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll prove that free will is the most convincing illusion ever created. By the end of this video, you'll understand why consciousness is just a passenger watching decisions happen and taking credit. This isn't philosophy. This is backed by neuroscience from MIT, behavioral studies from Princeton, and decades of research into how the brain actually works. And once you see how decisions are really made, every choice you're proud of, every mistake you regret, every moment you thought, I could have chosen differently, all of it becomes questionable. But before we dive in, let me tell you about an experiment that measured the exact moment you lose free will. In 2008, neuroscientist John Dylan Haynes put people in an fMRI machine. Simple task: press a button with your left or right hand whenever you feel like it. Note which hand you chose and when you decided. He watched their brain activity in real time. Here's what he found. He could predict which hand they'd use 7 seconds before they were conscious of deciding. 7 full seconds. Your brain made the choice, started preparing the movement, and only then did consciousness arrive and think it decided. You weren't choosing. You were watching a decision that already happened and claiming ownership. Most people believe consciousness is the driver. You think, then you act. Your awareness is in control. Free will means you could have chosen differently if you wanted to. But here's what's really happening. Your unconscious brain processes information, makes decisions, and then informs consciousness afterward. You're not the author of your choices. You're the narrator reading a script your brain already wrote. And it gets so much darker from here. Every choice you make is determined by factors you didn't choose. Sam Harris breaks this down perfectly. Think about your next thought. Can you choose what you're about to think? Try it. Decide right now what your next thought will be. You can't. Thoughts simply appear in consciousness. You don't author them. You experience them. If you don't choose your thoughts, and your thoughts determine your actions, how can you choose your actions? Let's go deeper. Why do you like the things you like? Your favorite food, your taste in music, your personality, your values. You didn't choose your genes. You didn't choose your childhood. You didn't choose the culture you were born into. You didn't choose the experiences that shaped your brain. You didn't choose your neural wiring. Every preference, every inclination, every choice emerges from factors that were determined before you were aware enough to have any say. A Stanford study scanned people's brains while they made moral decisions. Researchers could predict their choices based on brain structure and activity patterns. Your biology was determining your free choices. Think about a decision you made today: what you ate, what you wore, how you responded to that email. Trace back every factor that influenced it. Your mood, which came from your sleep, which came from stress, which came from events you didn't control, filtered through a personality you didn't design. At what point in that chain did you have free will? There's no ghost in the machine. There's just the machine. But it gets worse. You can change people's choices by changing their brain chemistry, and they'll still feel like they chose. In 2015, researchers at Duke used transcranial magnetic stimulation, basically magnets that temporarily alter brain activity. They targeted the region involved in moral reasoning. Then, they gave people moral dilemmas. Is it okay to kill 1 person to save 5? With the magnets off, people answered based on their values. With the magnets on, their answers changed. Different moral judgments, different choices. But here's the disturbing part. They didn't feel manipulated. They felt like they were making free choices based on their reasoning. The magnet changed the decision, but consciousness still claimed credit. Your choices aren't free. They're the result of neurochemistry. Change the chemistry, change the choice. But the feeling of choosing remains. David Eagleman studied criminal behavior and brain abnormalities. A schoolteacher suddenly developed pedophilic urges, completely out of character. Turned out he had a brain tumor pressing on his frontal lobe. They removed the tumor. The urges disappeared. The tumor came back. The urges returned. They removed it again. Urges gone. Was that free will? Or was that chemistry? Think about every decision you've made while tired, hungry, drunk, depressed, or anxious. Were those free choices? Or were you experiencing the predictable output of a biochemical state? You've never made a decision outside of brain chemistry. You are brain chemistry. And chemistry follows the laws of physics, not the whims of will. Free will is what it feels like when you don't know why you did something. And here's the most terrifying part. The illusion of free will is necessary for society, so we pretend it's real. Robert Sapolsky, neuroscientist at Stanford, argues that free will is completely incompatible with modern neuroscience. Every action is caused by prior causes, stretching back infinitely. There's no moment where you step in and break the causal chain. But here's the problem. Society requires us to act as if free will exists. Our entire justice system is built on it. We punish criminals because they chose to commit crimes. We reward achievement because people earned it through choices. We assign blame and credit based on the assumption that people could have done otherwise. What happens if we admit there's no free will? Does punishment make sense? Does praise? Does responsibility? Does guilt? A study at the University of California showed people anti-free will arguments. Afterward, they cheated more on tests. They behaved less ethically. Because if there's no free will, why be good? Society isn't ready for this truth, so we maintain the illusion. Courts acknowledge brain tumors as mitigating factors, but still assume a normal. Brain has free will. We accept that children and the mentally ill have diminished responsibility, but we draw arbitrary lines. Think about the last time you judged someone harshly for their choices, their addiction, their failure, their mistakes. Could they have chosen differently? Or were they biological machines responding to inputs they didn't select? We need the lie, so we keep telling it, even to ourselves. So, what do you do with this? Here's the truth about free will. It probably doesn't exist the way you think, but you can't live as if it doesn't. The sense of agency, even if illusory, is necessary for functioning, growth, and meaning. What does this mean for you? Stop judging yourself so harshly. That mistake you made. You were always going to make it given the state of your brain at that moment. Stop judging others so harshly too. Compassion becomes easier when you realize people are doing their best within systems they didn't design. This isn't depressing. It's liberating. You're not broken for struggling. You're not weak for failing. You're a biological system responding to inputs. Change the inputs. Your environment, habits, influences, and the outputs change automatically. You can't will yourself into being different. But you can engineer the conditions that make different behaviors inevitable. That's not free will. That's physics. And it works better. So in 10 minutes, I destroyed your belief in free will and hopefully gave you more compassion for yourself and others. If this changed how you see responsibility, hit that like button. And if you want to see your understanding of consciousness destroyed next, that video drops next week. I'm going to prove that you're not experiencing reality, you're hallucinating it, and your brain is hiding the evidence. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you there.